Okay, in this video, we're going to look at how we can grab pre-recorded content and then easily grab that into a new page so that we can grab anything from that and place it on the page. So over here, we're going to go to this fourth button. Okay, so this is the library, and there's a page section and there's also a sections section. In this case, we want the sections section, and we want this one here, welcome text. It says with button, we can only see with B, but this is the one we want. We can literally just say add, and it will add it to the bottom. Okay, there it is. Now, there was stuff in there that we don't need, but that's okay. What we want there is that button in this particular case. So this is how easy. We're just going to literally drag and drop it up. And then we will just add the link to that button, but we don't need everything else here. So the easiest way to get rid of that is go back here, and what was added, just be careful here by using the rollovers, which show you which part you're looking at. So, because sometimes when you bring in those sections, it might bring in more than one section here. In this case, it is just that one, so we can literally just hit delete on that because we don't need anything there. So here's the button, and then we're just going to add the link in here. So in this case, the item's already been added to the media library. So I just need to grab that link. So media library. And I know from before that this is what it's called, so I'm just going to search for that. Okay, there it is, and I'm just going to give that a better name, because sometimes if that's going to show up in certain places through SEO, we want it to be named properly. So I'm just going to change the name there, title and description, but that there is the link that I want. So I'm just going to copy that, go back here, and then that becomes the link. And anytime we're sending the visitor off somewhere outside of the website, we always want to make sure we've got a new tab clicked here, which we have, and then we just got to change the name on the button, so that's further down here. And I'm just going to say download video notes, download video notes, and then save. We have got our grid in here as well. It can be a bit hard to see because it doesn't actually show you the grid in the preview, but if we look over here, we can see here that that is the videos there. That's the essential grid there. So we know from here, even though we can't see it in this view, we know from here that the videos are below the button, which is what we want. And then when we look at it in the front end, that'll tell us if we've got enough gap between them, which we don't. So that's not good. We want to have a bit of gap, so that's not so touching there. So that's cool. So we go back here, and one way to do that is just to put some space below this whole column. So for that, I'm just going to go, so I've clicked on the column. You can see that because when I roll over it, it shows column, but also down here, it shows me that I'm on the column. And there's a thing called padding. And if I'm going to put padding below here, I'm not going to do pixels. I'm going to do M's. So M's is like a relative measurement. And I'm just going to try 2 M's and see what that looks like. That's consistent with other things that I've done. The reason I'm going to say M's rather than pixels is because when you're looking at things in different sizes, an M is going to adjust accordingly when you're on like different sizes, like you know, mobile to a larger screen, etc. So you're going to get a better result than if you gave an exact pixel size, which may not work as well on a bigger or a smaller screen. So whenever I'm designing, I try and be consistent with what I use space-wise, so that there's just balance throughout the site. So 2 M's is what I've used as I recall. I can always double check, but let's just start with that and make sure it looks balanced. So I'm saving that. And over here, I'm just going to refresh. Make sure that looks balanced compared to, oh, silly me, because I did it on the column, and of course that is actually part of the column. So they're all in the same column, so that's why that didn't work. So get rid of that. That's okay. What we can actually do instead is do a margin below the button. Now the reason I'm not doing a padding for the button is because padding for a button will actually include the button itself. So there is already padding in there. Like if I was to make that 2M, watch what happens. So we get a big baggy button, a big gap below the button, which we don't want. So margin is outside of the padding and also outside of the border. So that's why in this case, this is what we want. So I'm just going to say turn on margin, and then see here, you can have them locked, which means if I was to put 2, then it's going to put 2 everywhere, which we don't want. See how that's now moved that out? So we want to be careful with that and make sure we're on this one. In this case anyway, sometimes you will want them all to be the same, but in this case we want that one, and I'm only adjusting the bottom, and I'm going to try 2 M's there. Save that. Check it on the front end. Okay. And it's personal preference really. I think that works, but maybe it's just a bit, I don't really like that there's a bit more gap there than there is there, so I'd probably be inclined to actually make that 3 M's. And then refresh. Yep, and that looks good to me. Then we can click on that and it will open in a new browser, and there is the PDF.